What's up, you guys? Good morning. It's Mason back here. I'm going to do the review on my 2018 Triumph Tiger 800 XRX. It's raining a little more today than I thought it was going to. Right before I decided to go on this ride and write down what I wanted to talk about in the review, it wasn't raining, and then I get everything written down and I'm headed out and now it starts raining. So, you know what? I'm gonna do it anyway. And I guess I gotta show you that, at least I gotta do this in the rain and show you the different riding modes. There we go. Now I'm in the rain mode. So yeah, this is the review of the 2018 Triumph Tiger 800 XRX. I bought this brand new a year and a half ago, and let me just talk about it for a little bit. I don't have any order really of like 1 to 10, but I do have the pros and cons, and I'm going to start with the cons first. But before I do that, I just want to tell you about what this bike is. The 800, it's a 765 street triple bored out to an 800, but none of the cons are really a big issue. They're all just kind of personal pet peeves. That's about it. Okay, so let me start out with the cons. Like I said, there's no order to these, and none of these are really a big deal. They're just conveniences that I would preferred. So the first one is in this model, the XRX, you don't get LED headlights. You get the LED runners, but you don't get LED headlights. And so that's just, it's not a big deal. It just kind of sucks because the LEDs are way brighter. Second con, this isn't a big deal, but it's more of another convenience, is none of the buttons on my handlebars light up. So at night, the only thing that's lit is the screen, and I just kind of have to know where the buttons are. And since the buttons aren't lit up, they're just painted on, and the mode button right here is wearing off. I have a charging port from the factory and it's up front, but it would have been nice if I had one that was a USB port from the factory. They're easy to install, I can do it myself, but it would have just been cool if they would have put a USB port for a phone charger instead of the other style that they have. Not a big deal. Another con is just how expensive it is to purchase the hard cases that go on this bike. You can put 3 hard cases on here, 2 side on the left and right, and then 1 on the top. And it's super convenient, super nice. I don't have them because they cost $2,000 to get the Triumph ones, and that's the only ones I'd want because they're the ones that are meant for this bike and they actually would fit a helmet. So that's a con. Another expense con is the cost to service this. So I probably will end up servicing my own bike when the time comes, but because of all the warranty stuff and not wanting to void that, the break-in cycle that I did at the 500 miles or 600 miles, whatever it was, it was over 250 bucks to have the dealership service this bike. So it's an expensive bike to get serviced, and they're also expensive to work on. So I got the extended warranty because of that. The intervals are at 6,000 after your first break-in cycle. So I guess that's not bad unless if you put your miles on really quick. Another con is when you're cruising down the freeway at 70 to 75 miles an hour, you're sitting at 5,200 RPM. It's not too bad, it doesn't vibrate, it's not anything like that, but this bike would just be a lot more enjoyable when it comes to those long rides if it was sitting around 4,600 RPM. Maybe if I go this way I'll get out of the rain. Probably not. So anyway, it's just a personal pet peeve of mine. I would like it to be at a little bit of a lower RPM just for comfort. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it is actually a decent amount when you drop 600 RPM. And my final con is this bike in certain models, the XRT come fitted with the Aero exhaust. This has the stock Triumph exhaust. And so it's kind of on the quiet side. It is nice though when you're cruising down the road and stuff and your bike's pretty quiet, but then at the same time when you're riding next to people they can't really hear you, and so having a louder exhaust is always a preferred. And that's it for the cons. So the pros, I got a lot more pros. I love this bike. This is a great bike. I'm not beating up on this bike. All of the cons that I said before, they're all just my own personal pet peeves of after riding this bike for a year and a half. First off, this is a great looking bike. It's clean, it's got an aggressive look to it, but at the same time it's just a very clean, well refined looking bike. It's got a great engine underneath it. The triples are awesome engines that Triumph makes. They sound amazing. So the power of this bike and acceleration, this bike's geared different than the 765, but it still gets up and goes. So we're in second gear doing 21 miles an hour. It's got great acceleration, it's got good torque. Happy with the power of this bike. It's easy to ride. Another perk, especially right now, because it's a little windy out and then it's also raining, but this bike has a windshield, and that is, for a long distance bike, that's one of my most important things is to have on a bike. It protects you from the rain. It also protects you mostly from the wind pounding on your chest on those long rides. And man, does it make a difference. Something else that's nice about the one that's on the XRX and the Tiger series is that it's manually adjustable. So I can lower it when I don't really want it all the way up, or I can raise it up. It's really easy to raise up. You just push out, it's got indents in it, and it has multiple different heights. It raises up and down a couple of inches, but those 2 inches actually do make a difference. When it's all the way down, I can feel it hit the bottom of my helmet, and when it's all the way up, it barely just hits the top of my helmet. So like I said in the cons, this exhaust is a little more quiet, on the quiet side, because it's the stock exhaust, but that doesn't take away that it still has the iconic Triumph triple whistle when you slow down or when you're accelerating, that you can hear it whistling. So it's still a nice exhaust note, and when you get going on it, it's not bad. It's still pretty good. So let's talk about the fuel range real quick. I think it's got good fuel range. It's about a 4-gallon tank. I'm a little above, I'm probably around 5/8 of a tank right now, and it's showing I got 145 miles to go before I'm empty. Whether or not how accurate that is, I've never paid close enough attention. I typically fill it up when it's at half a tank or a quarter tank, so I never really know exactly, and I don't ever track my miles just because bikes are super cheap to fill up, so that's never a big deal for me. The 2018 Triumph Tiger is the first year that they came out with this newer display. It's a very nice display. You can adjust it manually depending on the angle that you want, so that's nice. There's one master button that goes through the entire display. It's on the lower left hand side of your handlebars, and you can scroll through. I don't know if you're able to pick this up, especially because of the rain, but you get your coolant and you get multiple styles of riding modes. So I can change this and I can change how it looks, but I prefer style 2 just because that's just how I like it. You get 4 different modes for this bike. you get regular straight riding. If you're going around curves and stuff, cornering a lot, that's a different mode. You got rain mode, and then you also got mountain mode. I've only gone back and forth in between the rain mode and the straight mode. And it's pretty easy. You just scroll through it with your master button, and then you just push the center of the master button, and it selects it. You let off the throttle, it changes it, and now you're in the different riding mode. Okay, another pro of this, it's got cruise control. I'm not going to run cruise control because it's raining, but it's really simple. It's just right here on my left hand side. You double click on the set and it will set your cruise control. It'll pop up on your front screen and you can either lower it or raise it, and then there you go. That's it. That's all cruise control is. Another nice thing that's a pro about this bike is it's got flashers when you're on the side of the road. So that's nice, it's convenient. On the XRX you get heated grips. It's this little button right here next to your handlebar on your left, or your hand grip on your left. And when you push it, you get 3 modes. You get hot, medium, cold, and off. They work really good, super nice. Can't complain, allows you to ride when it's way colder out, just because hands are one of the first things to get cold, at least on me personally. This bike though doesn't come, based off the XRX, doesn't come with the heated seat. It's not a big deal. So I know I talked about the USB port in the cons, but this bike does come with a charging port. You just have to have the adapter that plugs right into it, and then you can plug a USB into that. So it's not a big deal. It does come factory with a fused charging port up front by your handlebars. So I just haven't got that. I haven't got the adapter for it yet. So that's why I don't have my phone charger. A USB port would be nicer, but you can't get everything all the time. So let's talk about the seat. The seat's a pro. It's really comfortable. It's wide enough, but it's not too wide. It fits me really well. It has 2 riding heights. You can either lower or raise it to 2 different positions. I prefer in the upper position just because it makes my knees not so bent. It's about a ½ inch adjustment, but it does make a big deal. For this bike, the back seat's actually pretty good size. Seat's on a harder side, definitely, but there is an upgrade you can get for a more comfy cushioned seat. So the brakes on this bike, these brakes are awesome. These are very strong brakes. They're smooth, and for this bike, weighing what it does, which I believe it's around 500 pounds, it stops on a dime. It's really good. So I guess now we're on the transmission. This is a 6-speed manual transmission, and it's smooth. It's very nice. It's a solid shifting transmission. You can hear it and feel it every gear you go in. I've never had an issue with getting into gears. And what's also nice about this transmission is very easy to find neutral when you're actually needing to find it. So that's always a perk. One of the last pros before I wrap this video up, I know I talked about the hard cases that Triumph sells for this bike and how expensive they are, being at $2,000, but they still offer them. And so to have a bike that you want to take cross country on a road trip, it's nice to make sure that you have a bike that has the option to put hard cases on. It comes with the rack. You can do it, it's modular, so you can either have just the center one up top, or you can just have the side ones, or one side one, or whatever. If I were going to do it, which I want to sometime, I'll probably get the top one first, and then I'll put the 2 side ones on, just because of how expensive they are. But it is nice, and what's also nice about this bike and the ones that Triumph makes for specifically this bike, they're big enough to fit a helmet in the top one, and that is huge. That makes a difference for why you'd want one or not. Alright guys, well that's all the pros and cons of this bike. Obviously I had a lot more pros because I thoroughly enjoy this bike. I think this is a very well refined bike. It's up there in the top mid-range bikes for touring, in my opinion, with this style of bike. This is technically a dual sport because of the design, but this is obviously the street model, so it's not meant to go off-road. But this is a very fun bike. I'm super happy with it. The bike, when I bought it, it's about a $15,000 bike, so it's more on the expensive side, I would say. But there was a couple rebates, and so I walked away with it, saving a couple $1,000, and I haven't regretted my decision buying this bike. This is a great bike. Another thing that's nice about this bike is you can take it on road trips, but you can also just ride around town. Even though it's around 500 pounds, it does not feel 500 pounds. It is a very well-balanced bike. You can turn around with this at low speeds when you got to make a U-turn on a road or something like that. No big deal. And you can cruise around in a high gear in town. I'm doing 4th gear right now at 3,000 RPMs, doing 35 miles an hour, and it's a great comfortable ride. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this review. Let me know in the comment section what you guys thought about it. And yeah, when it comes to picking a bike and stuff, make sure you actually go check it out. If it's a first bike that you're getting, this is, at the time when I bought this was my 3rd bike. If you guys are just getting into riding and you're unsure what style of bike or what CC bike, definitely go check out different bikes and stuff at dealerships. But I'd recommend that you go find something used online. You'll save so much money on your starter bike. It's amazing the depreciation of bikes depending on what model and depending on what brand you're looking at. You can save a ton of money on a 2-year-old, 3-year-old bike compared to what you'd pay for a brand new bike. So that's a huge thing to look into. But what you got to do is don't always just look at something that is popular. Find something that's comfortable for you. Make sure that it actually fits you and fits your riding style that you think you want to be a part of, and something that you're willing to at least have for a couple of years while you get used to riding and learn how to ride on the bike. But there's tons of different brands out there, tons of different styles of riding and stuff, so honestly, used bikes are the way to go because of the smaller investment. Thanks for watching, you guys. Hope you enjoyed this review of my 2018 Triumph Tiger 800 XRX. Like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you ring that notification bell. I'm going to be pushing out tons of videos, trying to build this channel. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Enjoy. See you next time.